Well, Lonnie, it's great to have you back, bro. You know, the last podcast done really well. And, well, you know, one thing I said to Jake last time was, man, you were probably one of my favourite conversationalists that has been on the podcast for more than one reason, obviously, because, you know, I love what you said about Fiji. I love Fiji. You know, we're just talking off camera. We're talking about Thailand and how much I just love the Fijian culture because I've been there a fair few times myself. But more importantly, just your craft towards, you know, your life and you know, how you represented Fiji, but just your thought process. I just loved your thought process. So having you back on is fantastic because people can get to see, you know, a lot more of Lonnie and how Lonnie kind of sees, you know, the world, whether it be fitness, whether it be training, whether it be family, because you hit all those verticals that I love, the principles, the values that we share here on the podcast. And you know, like when you walked through the door today, I felt like, you know, I know you so much better than that first time, and I felt really good about it.
Well, yeah, cool. Thanks for having me on. It's probably the only time I've been invited back to a podcast, so that's a good start. Yeah, thanks for having me on, and yeah, cool to share some whatever it is we come up with today.
Yeah,
I'm thankful for being
How's
here.
it been for you, seeing Lonnie again?
Mate, it was good. As I said, I haven't seen Lon since the last podcast, but you've been busy on your socials, which we were talking about before, which is great. You know, you've got a very good following from all the things you've done in the past and obviously going into the future. So what sort of made you want to go into that a little bit more, I suppose?
I'm not sure if we touched on it last time, but Jared Hayne said to me, he's like, build your brand whilst in the game. Look, I played 9 games of first grade, which is not a great launching pad. But look, I have a physique. I'm aware of that. I don't plan to, like, I don't really care for it too much, but it's like, I know I can sort of, in that space, be helpful to people.
Yep.
The main thing, probably, I've got 4 kids and a mortgage.
Yeah.
I have to pivot and look for other ways to try to make an income. And I've met some cool people when I started in that space, and they earn a heap of money.
Yeah.
Look, money's not the be all and end all, but it does make life easier. So, it's one thing as well. It's like a bit of a game too, you know. Like some things you throw out into the mix, and they'll get good traction. Other things you spend 10 hours on a piece and it'll get 0 traction. So I can't figure it out. So you just keep throwing pieces into it, and some things hit, some things don't. It's just a big game. It's like the game of life, I guess. You know, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but ultimately you win because you've had a crack at something. And then the things that work, you just keep doubling down on those in that space, and who knows where you end up.
100%.
You know, it's funny, like, you know, we're in Thailand and we're posting, and you know beforehand that, you know, what I said to, you know, I don't know if I'm going to do one of those retreats ever again because I was so mentally just exhausted from the last year and a bit. But then, you know, we were posting and, you know, we had a good crack at it, but I wasn't thinking about it much.
Yeah.
And the traction it got from so many people that saw it was massive.
Yeah.
And going back to what you said, a lot of the times, like, I'm very similar to you. Like, I just want to do the work. I like doing it for myself. You know what I said to you off camera? Mate, I just enjoyed how much I could train, which helped the people more. Yeah. So, you know, I kind of get what you're saying. Like, I just want to be able to help the family, but I like training. I got blessed with this body, and it's given me a vehicle to help more people. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of like, because that's how I kind of think. I've got, let me just do the work. You need, like, obviously you need people to know you, but we don't do it for that. We do it because we like training, we like staying healthy, and we want to be good leaders to our family. Yeah.
Often I find though, like, anytime I train, I'll learn something myself about how the process is. And the cool thing about having a community behind you is that, like, there's lessons that so many of those people can take out of what you just learned about doing that yourself. So the body is a tricky thing to learn to apply. Like, leverages are different for each person. And you like, I follow a lot of different people in a lot of different spaces and find something like, I've got a bashed up body from footy, right? I've got injuries everywhere. So some things I can do well, other things I can't, and I'll take lessons from other people. So me sharing my stuff is I learn that some kid somewhere may be having the same issue. You never know who it's going to help. So that's what makes the space so interesting to be in as well, because you never know when a lesson is going to be taught to someone who may find that useful. And in the end, you might help 10,000 people. You know, you just never know. So roll the
100%.
dice, throw it out there, and if it helps, it helps. And if it doesn't, oh well, we'll move on to the next thing. It's not that big a deal if it doesn't.
There's always a way
promote
around it.
Correct,
There's always
correct.
a way.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
What direction are you looking to push your socials? Like obviously the fitness,
Yep.
keeping healthy, family, all that sort of stuff. Is that something you're going to really hone in on, or is there going to be other avenues you go down?
To be honest, I don't really know. Like I know you can't cast the broadest net because then you appeal to no one. But I just like sharing things that I enjoy. I think I spoke about it last time. Like the brain is a great puzzle solver. You throw a million puzzle pieces at some point it'll connect those dots together. So I just share things that I find interesting.
Yep.
And I'll find weird lessons from all different kind of places in the world. But I'll be like, you know what, the way that he did that, or the system that he developed around whatever that person was doing there, or maybe I could apply that system to what I'm doing in another space. So to be honest, I don't really know. I'd probably stay within the health and fitness space because that's what I'm liking. I'm really enjoying the time that I have with my kids at the moment. They're all going through a really good growth phase of their sport, just growing a lot. So like youth athletic development, I really like that space. So there's a million different places I could go, but I don't really know. I got nowhere specific where I go. I'll just continue to share stuff that I find. 18 forever.
Yes.
My age hasn't changed.
The Lost, the Lost Boys.
You know, think about this, right? And Jake, well, there's a fair few people that know this, right? But, you know, like I'm 48, turning 49 this year, and it took me 3 goes to get the retreat the way I wanted it.
Yeah.
And I had to peel a lot of things back, but I was at the point where I was like, I'm not doing this anymore, Jake. Like, I'm not doing it. And then I go there, and then everyone goes, mate, we need you to do this. We need you, mates. And I go, okay, they need it, but what has it given me? And what it gave me was way more than I expected. So because it gave me way more than I expected, but I went in there going, I'm not doing this anymore. And what I find is with everything, at the point of when you are about to quit because it's just become too much, and like it's like all these things coming at you, that's the point where you got to go, look, one thing I know about myself, and I think you're the same, but I know that even if I'm not going to do it again, I'm going to give it everything I got. And even if I've got this mindset, if I change my mind, I change my mind.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And that's what I was able to do. But the biggest thing was, and like people that came there, I'm not saying everyone's got like different, you know, problems in their lives or mental, you know, we talk about mental health. And the biggest lesson I learned was to fix mental health, it's very, very simple, but we tend to complicate it. It's train hard or work out what training looks like for you, eat clean, eat whole foods, and just talk to people. So if you're doing those 3 things, and people ask me, what did I do different? I actually spoke less. I think I spoke way less to people this time.
My lens with it too, just to back you up. Before we were going over 2-3 weeks, he's like, this is the last one, bro. We're coming back, launching into this. And I was like, yeah, that's good. Like, that's cool. As we got halfway through it, I could see you were so engulfed with helping people and running at your own pace. Everyone sort of just jumped on board with that. And I was obviously doing the contents in the morning. I was just very observant and everything. I'm like, by the end of it, he'll say he'll want to do this again, because I could see you were starting to get things out of it. Mirat was, and everybody there was feeling it. And we got on the plane and we sat down and we were all across from each other, and I was sort of sitting there and he goes, we're going to do another one, bro. And I'm like, well, that's good, mate. I said, because by the end of it, it was so down pat, bro. Everyone was up, coffee, train, eat, train, recover, whatever it was, the system was perfect, bro. So
1
going
and 2
into
sucked and probably hurt, but then it's 3, 4,
just
5
went
flying,
bang.
humming, rolling. So you just got to be persistent.
It felt good. It felt really, really good. You know what I mean? And like going back to your point, like I'm just doing all these things, and you know, and you're working hard. That's the one thing you're doing. You're putting in work. And what I say to people, like, no matter what it is, and if you haven't figured it out yet, just give it 100%, and you'll probably figure out something.
Yeah. And that's what happened with me with footy too. Like I was 28, 29, I think. And I was like, I was driving to work. I remember driving, I was working full time, and I was like, I'm just going to have the biggest crack possible and then know that there was nothing left in the tank. And if I don't make it, well, I tried my best.
Yep.
But then that's when the door opened. So
yeah, man.
You just never know. Like in your case there, like, what was it, retreat number 4, 5, 6 could be 10 times the people, 10 times the results. You're onto the system now.
Yeah, man.
It's going to work well for you guys. It's going to work well for you. People who come.
Well, it's funny, like in a year and a bit, I've done Fiji 3 times. Like I went there twice beforehand, 3 times in Thailand. Just I love those regions.
It's beautiful.
Like they're my
parts of the
favourite.
world.
When people go, "Where's your favourite regions?" I'll go, "It's that Southeast Asia."
I wonder if it's a connection to the world, a connection to.
It's the whole
earth
thing,
there.
man.
Like it's,
Mate, it's Eastern philosophy.
Yeah.
It's everyone just coincides and they've got a completely different way of life than to the Western world,
yeah.
bro.
You feel
Just-
free, hey?
Mate,
You feel free.
everything's just
I guess gives you
calm.
some perspective and scope coming from the Western world
Yeah, dude.
to a little bit more third worldy,
Yep.
Eastern. It's
Is that bad
I've
to feel that way?
No, sometimes you need perspective.
No.
Perspective.
Yeah.
You speak to any person who travels the world, and they come back and they're a completely different person because they've seen that the system that they were born into or had lived in their whole life is not the only way, and probably not the best way. So you need that. You need that.
The biggest thing in Thailand at Phuket, it's just health. Like
Yeah,
that, like
man.
that's all it is.
That's
It's
cool.
like
It's
the
so
food,
simple, bro.
Yeah, the food, the training, the people, the culture, the people that live there and are from there. You never see them angry. You never see them disregard or push anyone away. It's like, yes, come in. How are you? Everything's, and then they embrace, I feel, a large portion of people from other parts of the world to come there because they can show them and showcase their lifestyles and what they do for a living. It's beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah, it just gives you, like with anything, it just gives you a lot more clarity on kind of how you want to live. It gives you that bit more peace of mind on how you want to live. And I was talking to Tyron Smith and I said, "What did you like about it?" He goes, "Bro," he goes, "You can have all the money in the world, right? But he goes, anyone can afford to do this." And he goes, "And this feeling is like no other feeling." He goes, "Everyone wants that feeling, though.
Yeah.
You can have all the money." He goes, "You can go wherever you want."
What did you enjoy about the most? Training or
The
just
simplicity, bro.
everything?
Like he
Out
goes,
of
"You
regimen?
sweat."
Is that what it was? Or?
He came in with so he's a Bali guy, right?
Yeah.
So he's come in with he doesn't know. I told him about Thailand a few times, and then the week before he goes, "Bro, I'm gonna come." When he came and you were there, you've seen it. It was like, and I remember because he left one day before. And he'd done his cryotherapy, his massage, everything, and it was just like...
Is his body all bashed up too? I'm assuming it would be.
Hard, yeah. Harder than most people.
Yeah.
And...
Plus, it's pretty stressful, his stuff that he does with his management stuff.
Big time, yeah.
Is that all he does, or he does other stuff too?
Well, no, he does that. Plus he's got Lone Crow, the coffee brand.
Okay,
He actually, look, you know what, Torrance, like... he actually does a lot of things, bro. A lot. He does a lot.
Because Remus is running that too. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So he helps with a lot of different projects.
Yeah.
He's always
He's a busy
in
man.
meetings.
He needs that.
And so for him, and being around all of us, I think he loved the whole camaraderie. He loved that we're eating together. He loved the recovery sessions we done. He loved the pool time we done together. He loved the boat ride we done together. It was almost like what communities are supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like we're supposed to train, we're supposed to eat together, we're supposed to talk. And in essence, that's what we were doing.
Yeah.
We were just doing that.
Taking it back.
And everyone,
Wind the clock back
when
100
everyone
years.
was leaving, it was like, we're going to miss each other, even though we're all from Titan. But we felt like we created something special. And even, Tyron, Jake playing in sports, and then my brother's the 59-year-old who's shredded and bringing his health back. He's banged up as well, and he was bringing his health back, and so you had all people from different ages, different fitness levels, all as one. But all with this common goal of I just want my mental well-being and my health to be better. And then everyone was talking to each other.
That's probably one of the things that's missing in the Western world. Hey, like you don't get that communal. You probably don't get it. Like how often would you spend time with many people outside of your? I mean,
I've
you
never
have a
spent.
gym, so yeah, but
I'd like to spend.
I don't spend that much time with anyone other than myself and my own.
You know what I was like thinking? I'd like to spend like more time with my family doing that, but it's funny because people came for that. So you've actually got to go for that.
Yeah,
You can't just go, hey, to my wife, we're going to go and we're going to train like this because
There's always a clock, right? There's always another clock ticking for something else.
Yeah,
that
it
needs to be
doesn't
done.
kind of work that way, and I think this is what made this, special, and I think when I look at it, and this is what I want to ask you, you've played sport because it almost felt like the dressing room, didn't it? The whole
Had a
retreat.
vibe.
Yeah, it had that vibe of
Yep.
that dressing room.
Well, after victory type.
Well, just, you have a place to go to every day.
Yeah.
And, everyone's going to be there and we're all there for that specific purpose, which is to train, eat, have a bit of a chat. Then you go off and do whatever you need to do after that. So that was sort of the base of it,
Get
which
that
I think
human connection.
which I think everyone got a good kick out of, yeah.
And you miss it, eh?
Yeah, you do.
You miss like just that freedom of being able to do that.
It was a healthy environment. Like some locker rooms have the capabilities to be very disconnected, and the communication in there can be unhealthy for for certain types of people, not understanding where people are from or are going through. So to have that, I suppose, strict sort of guidelines to get the best out of yourself before the end of the day, where you could go and recover, and we provided all those sorts of spaces for people to do, was one of the most beneficial parts of it.
Well, this is what a question I want to ask, Lonnie, is, I felt like before I went, my training wasn't where it needed to be, my eating wasn't where it needed to be. And I look back at it and I go, since then to now, my motivation's back. And, so I was kind of questioning myself why I lost that motivation. Do you have points where, throughout the year, where you go, fuck, what did I lose motivation for on the thing I love doing the most? Now, everyone's watching these podcasts. They're loving myself, Kenny, Jake. But the best part about it is I love this studio. I don't have to do anything. These lights are turned on. The camera guys are there. The producers are there. They do absolutely everything. They can't make it any easier to create a podcast. And you know what the best part about it is? You're going to have content for the rest of your life, and you're going to be able to watch these podcasts. Your grandkids are going to be able to watch these podcasts. These guys make it super simple. So why not hire this studio out? Hit the link in the bio, and let's see you here. Do you have points like that?
Yeah,
that's
big
what I
time,
had.
big time. Yeah. To be honest, I haven't had them that many times, but I've probably just come out of one now. And more often I feel like it's like, especially if you train hard, sometimes you just need like a week off to reset. The whole system will reset itself. Just taper back in, and then just keep turning up. Again, consistency takes you far, but sometimes too much consistency can be detrimental to you. So, yeah, sometimes you need to just take the gas off a little bit. That doesn't mean completely stop. Yeah. Might need a couple of days to reset. Like take some proper rest. I think Jim Carrey said it best. Like, probably a bit off topic. Like, not depression, but like sometimes. He was saying, depression is time
like that, though. It feels like...
Well, yeah, it can sort of push you down.
For me, like...
I was saying, if I don't train
I didn't
for a day,
show it, but like, I wasn't depressed, but I felt like, I go, fuck, my diet wasn't on point. When my diet's... I can back off.
Yeah.
But if I lose my diet,
right,
I feel like I'm just... And I think, and I said to you, I go, fuck, Jake, I haven't put in the work in the kitchen. The workouts were there. But then the workouts are half-assed because the fuel's not there.
Yeah.
And I think you felt like you let yourself down too before.
For
your health. I mean, more for your health. Your work was great.
Yeah. I found like the honesty that I had was inconsistency. Yeah, and when I come back, I looked at probably the last 12, 18, 24 months of my life, and it's the emotional eating, and I'm aware of it, but I've sort of just owned it now, whereas before it's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like this.
Yeah.
But like the motivation's there now because I'm feeling good, I'm looking good. I see the path on where we're going and I want to be a part of that. So that makes me be accountable. So is that sort of when you have your time off, does the path come a bit clearer? So when you do get back on the horse, you're like, this is what needs to be done to get there.
I think something to think of there, like it's sometimes time frames too. Like sometimes we think like, I'll just go to, if we're still young in our sort of gym journey, sometimes we think that, if I just get these 2 sessions done, I'll see some results. Like sometimes you got to think bigger picture. Like sometimes it's, I said to my wife, Melanie, and started really lifting weights within the last 2 years. And then it was hard for her to grasp the concept of 3, 6, 9, 12 months to see any real progress.
Yes.
Yeah. And sometimes in those periods, you have to, if you bash yourself up for 3 months straight, sometimes you need to take a week to just dissipate fatigue. Yep. Powerlifting taught me that you can accumulate fatigue really, really fast in the system. sometimes the best thing to do, you just take a week off. The whole system can reset itself, and bang, you can drive into it again. So it's just playing with and learning and knowing how and when to apply sort of those rest systems. Or you may need some better programming. That's why reaching out to a better trainer, a better coach, or having those conversations with your coaches is better for you long term, because you can just keep that consistency high. So
have you guided Mel in that sort of area, like as in the training space, and given her tools and techniques, you know, when she does feel fatigue, when she does feel good, what to do recovery wise, training wise, all that sort of stuff?
Yes and no. I've helped her in other spaces. I've helped her to a degree. She's got real coaches in the gym where she trains at. So
okay.
They help her. She started off at NF45 a few years ago, but then went into more like traditional weight training at a gym called Valley Tudo, where she trains out of now. They got real good systems and coaching and stuff in place there.
Unreal.
Like anyone though, she's got she's had a life of not a full life of sport, but she did a lot of sport young.
Yep.
And then come on new, and like not everyone knows where to go. So you're going to come across little injuries, and we kick the worst injury she had of late, which has like thrown her training out, has been her and I kick a footy at our kids' training. I boot her a soccer ball up, like I'd kick the shit out of this thing. She tried to catch it, and I dislocated and broke both her two main fingers there. So that's gripping up, like she was just really hammering her training. But look, you get setbacks, and that's thrown her strength out a bit. But like that happens every day. Like, and you know, again, you take time to reset. She continued to train the whole time throughout. She struggled to hold things, and she's coming out the back of it now, because it's pretty much the way the references were. It was like an ACL equivalent. So it's like a 12 to 18 month turnaround for full recovery, if you do get full recovery. So I mean, I've got
that's always I was just sitting here, I'm like, I can't straighten these two and my thumb's fucked, and I look over there and have a look at
busted.
Look like a velociraptor.
It's but look, I still managed to compete in a heap of different stuff. The cool thing about injuries I always find is like there's always a silver, like every injury I've ever had, I've always come out of it way stronger. Like if I break a hand, I've still got two legs to continue, an arm to grow, and you get these good cross body references. I don't know if it's like a pseudoscience thing or something, but look, 60% of the time placebo is effective, right? So if I've got an issue with this arm and I train the shit out of this arm, there will be some cross body transference that takes place.
Let's dive into that, right? So you think about injury, doesn't matter big or small. Do you think that's because it gives us the ability, we're running at 80-85%, we're actually slowed down a little bit, so we're a little bit more conscious in how we're approaching things? You know, like when we're fully fit, ready to go and we're looking 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead sometimes, or some days, weeks, months, whatever. But when you get that little bit of a niggling injury, it actually can bring us back to the present a little bit. Do you feel that when you've had injuries?
You become a bit more methodical, I think, on understanding yourself more.
Yeah.
So you want to find out why you got injured, how you hurt yourself,
what do you have to adjust again.
You know what I mean? So but not every, like, you know, I talk to a lot of people that get injuries. I go, do you know how you done it? What was the last 3 months? What did that look like? Because sometimes
sleep leading into that day.
Sleep, but like, what did you do for the last 3 months that would have done habits, that? Yeah. And you've got to be able to be much more in tune with your body. Yeah, and I think if you're more in tune, you'll understand what's necessary for you. Like, I know Tyron does the stairs all the time. Yeah. But you've seen how many massages the guy gets. Yep. He gets his body looked at 2-3 times a week. Like he treats himself like a professional athlete. Yeah. And then I had another guy that done the Coogee stairs, and he's a boxing instructor, and he rings me and goes, mate, I can't do the class this morning. I said, what did you do? He said, mate, I've done the stairs 30 days in a row. Oh, yeah. Coogee stairs.
Yeah, some days, some weeks you got to push. Yeah,
and I go 30 days in a row. Yeah, I goes, mate, I can't move my back. Yeah, I go, why are you doing this? He goes, I've got this 100-day challenge I want to do to myself. But then I go, okay, you can do it for 100 days, but what's your recovery look like? Yeah. Because that's why it happened. We know why it happened, and he was doing it rain, hail, or shine, which is fair enough. Do it, but what's your stretching like? What's your recovery like? What's your eating like? What's your rest like? And I don't think he looked at all those things.
The hard thing that you sort of need to take into account when you're sort of older in life too is like, don't get injured. It just costs you too much. Look, I'm not saying like it's
harder.
It's hard. It's just you're just more susceptible to injury. Like we usually carrying some older injuries, which means up the chain there's going to be other issues. So you just got to be a little bit more aware of. Like, I'm not saying to not go and do challenges and stuff like that, but just be aware. Like, how do we just avoid long-term issues that are going to compound on other issues? So
well, that's why, like, when we were doing 3 sessions like not 3 sessions every day, but when we're doing 2 to 3 sessions, one would be weights, one would be a cardio-based HIIT class, and the other one would be a spin class. So we weren't just
your stack was good. Your stack was not like, let's increase risk.
And then
whereas if you were to do that the other way around, well, then your
100%.
risk of injury.
And in between that, we were in the ice bath, or we were in the pool, just relaxing. And then at night, everyone would be getting a massage. So the environment was conducive to doing those sessions because everything was perfect.
Well, I had a injury over there, like my left knee. That's the knee I used to step off the most playing footy. And we were training. Then I went for a road run with Tyron once or twice, and I don't know why I did it. I just felt like doing it.
Tyron does put that undue pressure on people.
But it was good.
You just feel it coming.
Yeah, I get a good feeling after I run. That's why I do it. Then the next day, I just looked at my knee and I can tell when there's fluid sticking out the side. I'm like, fuck.
What's the injury?
I think it's just wear and tear, bro. To be honest, like just a little bit of weight bearing going through it. Then we walked up that massive hill the next day. So as I was going up the hill, I could just feel it every single time. So I was just like, I need to take a day of not going up the hill. Went and got the recovery I needed for it. Got my calf and my quad loosened up and just sort of stayed off it for like, that 20. It doesn't need to be like weeks. It's just 24, 48 hours of not high impact running. The spin class was perfect.
But look, at least you had the self-awareness to back off then. Like it would have been easy seeing everyone doing it and going, fuck, I want to do it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to know, fuck, mate, I got to back off here because... And it's hard, when there's a group of people, everyone's doing it. And you feel like if you don't do it, you're not strong enough. But the reality is, like, I seen his knee and it was like, man, just don't do it.
I just went back, did what I had to do.
If it's not going to be beneficial to you in the long run, then why...
Exactly right.
If you're just going to blow your knee.
Let me ask you a question.
It's not beneficial to you.
Why is exercise and nutrition so important to mental health? Because I think, like, we usually go straight to mental health, but we don't look at the foundations that need to be applied for mental health.
Good question.
It's endorphins, right? You get the trigger of endorphins, right? So
it does.
I can't remember what endorphins actually are, but I'm pretty sure they're like a feel-good hormone, right? So
it's true.
I guess that's why most people, one of the most beneficial,
like serotonin, oxytocin, the ones that make you feel good because you're moving.
Pumping the blood around the body is there's something in that, like everyone feels good after doing any type of training. So just do what everyone else does to, like, if you're in that state of not feeling great about yourself, just apply what everyone else does to feel better about themselves. If it's training, if it's going on a Muay Thai class or jiu-jitsu or whatever.
Anything that's sort of got that bit of physicality.
Well, those things, like a lot like cooking, like you have to be present in the moment, otherwise you're potentially going to get hurt, right? So you have to take your mind away from whatever it's preoccupied with. In, let's just say you're stressed or worried about something coming up, or you're a bit anxious about something coming up, or stressed about something that's happened in the past. Get out, exercise. It takes your mind off what that was. And you get a little bit of, we were talking about before, like sometimes you're pulling away, like mentally, if you can pull away from whatever it is that's clouding your mind by filling that space and time with something that's moving your body, blood around your body. I'm rambling.
No, you're right, bro.
There's a net positive benefit to doing that. So jump in the gym, throw some weight around, and shoot for some PBs. You might get them, you might not. Who cares? It's like I find the idea of PBs too. It's like it's an ever-changing thing. So don't worry if you don't ever get. Like, if I stop squatting for a couple of like months, but like if I have injuries, I'm probably gonna have to change my training a little bit, and then the PR, just because let's just say you had a 100 kilo squat as a PR, like just because you're not there doesn't mean you're not getting better. It's like I know like some people are like, oh man, I'm way off my numbers, but it's like the numbers move constantly. So, sorry, I rambled.
No, bro, go hard.
we like when I had Tyron, there was 4 of us, and we were in the gym. They had a sled. Yep. So I said, fuck, all right, boys, we're going to do something different here. They go, what is it? I go, we're going to do a giant set, but I made it 4. Yep. And then I go, then we're going to push that sled back and forth, and we're just going to keep going around doing 5 sets. And we didn't lift heavy, but it was just the challenge of getting through that giant set. And and then watching the other
And some
guy, and then they were on their haunches.
Endurance into the game.
Yeah, so we bought like endurance with resistance, but we didn't go, let's put massive resistance on you. The endurance is what
fatigue, and then we'll play endurance.
And one thing, like on a retreat, like it's important to understand, like when you're overseas, you don't have to get PR, you know, personal best, PBs. Sorry, what am I fucking saying? PBs. But if you can create the physicality and the resistance through volume, it feels just as good.
Yeah, there's a win there, right?
There's a win. There was a win. So it was like, you know, you don't have to have PBs all the time.
Yeah.
If you can just go, was the intensity 100%?
Yeah.
That's a huge win.
Yeah.
And, you know, like when you train, obviously you know where to pull back, but you know that on a lighter session you can still give 100%.
Yeah, you need the intensity to get that adaptation. You don't want to stay ahead of adaptation.
Let me ask you a question. Like sometimes when you go in the gym and you go, fuck, that was 80, 90%. Are you still happy with your performance? Because like even when for me personally, when I go in at 80, 90, and I go, you know what, if I didn't go in at all, I'd feel way worse.
Yeah, big time.
So
big time.
80, 90 is still cool.
Yeah.
How does it feel for you?
In my training style, like I can pick where I'm at. I'll know in terms of fatigue how much I've accumulated and where I can push. But then like I'll know mid sort of that session how to tweak intensity to get what I need out of that specific movement. So like if it's an arms portion of the session, I'll push hard on those because everyone wants bigger biceps, right? There's something about commanding arms. You walk in a room, you got giant arms, or if you're a chick, got really toned arms. Everyone pays attention and listens to that. So that's something worth pushing for all the time. And they're not super fatiguing to the whole central nervous system. So those things you can push for. If it's a bit more leg stuff, which I'm trying to do a bit more running in my week, but then I'll have to just taper around how much I'm going to do. But like you said, 80 to 90% effort is a million times better than zero. So
what do you what sort of training are you doing at the moment, bro?
At the moment, so what can we talk about here? I earlier in the year I was lucky enough to go overseas and compete in something pretty big. Off the back of that though, I feel like I came out of it doing not too much. What I actually feel like I was mentally fatigued off the back of it. Any time I go on sort of it's like a big like a footy camp or like a thing where you have a good environment around you, good people. Coming off the back of it, I always find like emotionally I'm pretty drained. Yes. And I tried to train real hard through that because I was around such like strong people. I wanted to carry that energy on, but I sort of hit the wall. Yep. So that, again, for me, I just had to take like sort of a 2-week period where I just pulled a fair bit of my training back. I didn't stop. I just pulled a lot of the volume back. And that's just given me a good stead to reassess and then chase some numbers again. I got nothing specific I wanted to push towards, but I just want to keep my general strength high, mainly because having that ability to keep my general strength high has allowed me to go and a lot of things get thrown my way, so I get to just jump into pretty much anything that comes my way. So just keep your general strength as high as you possibly can. I guess that's where I'm getting towards here. So
excellent.
Squats, like a lot of strongman style training. Just avoiding injury at all costs and keeping my cardio as high as it can be. Do you VO2 max high?
I've seen on your socials that is it yoga?
Yeah, yoga. Yeah.
What's that like? What sort of training would you do for that, and what's the basis of it?
So yoga is it's a new thing started by Todd. I don't know how to say Todd's last name, but Todd played footy at West as well.
Okay.
So he's one of the footy boys too. Yeah. But it's like essentially like he's grouped Ultimate Tag, which is pretty big in the States. Pretty sure that TV show. They have a TV show over here. Yep. They've got like 5K obstacle course racing as well as like a smaller, they call it the sprint style. Yep. It's like essentially aimed around like obstacle course racing, so like Spartan, that type of stuff. Yeah. And Ninja Warrior. Mainly it's thrown out there because it's going to be in the next Olympics. I think it's in the modern pentathlon. It's actually coming. Is it really? It's a bit more mainstream now. It's a bit of a niche sport at the moment. Okay. But what these guys do is actually really crazy. Like they're proper athletes, those Ninja Warrior guys, and the obstacle course races. So they're they're doing 5K, I think 10K, and I think even half marathon with obstacles scattered throughout.
Wow.
It's similar to your retreat. It's
Yeah.
cool way for
It's
people
like
to
a
stay
hybrid
active.
athlete.
Yeah,
Yeah.
essentially, yeah. I I had to go on it on the weekend.
Yeah.
But mainly for my kids.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw my kids on the course. Like
Cool.
any stuff I do now is sort of aimed at what lesson can I take for this and give to the next generation.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this before I came over here today. I was like, my parents. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I'm showing my actual age. I'm still 18, but you don't know what you don't know. So if you're a parent, like, don't be too hard on yourself as a parent if you don't know. But there's enough access to enough information in the world now to be like, all right, if I wanted to give my kid the best shot, how do I can go and source people to help them, or what can I learn myself to teach them to apply. I got 4 kids who actually, my daughter just won her cross country at her school yesterday, so she's going to the zone. She won by like, I think it was like half a K or something. So it was,
Wow.
she did really well on that one. The next level was always harder for her. But look, Mel and I are just trying to arm our kids with the best tools they can, so they can be like physically strong and capable. Because like the world's just getting harder and more expensive. Like professional sports is a good avenue in terms of earning. So, God, I'm rambling again. Sorry.
What sport are they most interested in, the kids?
To be honest, it hasn't really, the penny hasn't dropped for him yet. Like, there's none of them that are. My son's enjoying his footy because I think he goes to the contest, and I think I've armed him with enough tools to win, but he hasn't grasped the concept of it actually being beneficial to him yet. Like beneficial enough, because I'll try and push him to do a little bit more. And he's not real receptive of buying into it. And I'm like, and I have to remind him, I said, do you know why you can win these contests at times? Because I've armed you with the tools and shown you where and how to use them. Look, and I know as parents, that's a tricky space to be in. But having that information now, I can share that information with my kids to give them the best chance to try and win. Because life's hard, man. Like, life's real hard. But if you can learn, the earlier you learn as a kid, or the earlier you can pass the information on to your kids, and like to deal with setbacks and or losing, or give them the tools to win encounters that they have, whether it be in school or, because once you get out of school, like they actually count. Like, and the earlier you learn them, to get that resilience to any sort of setbacks, like you can apply that, bro. You can apply it early, So
what sort of stuff do you do with them for like emotional stability, emotional understanding, I suppose? Do you teach them certain things?
I guess the lessons come in sport. Like we can say, like, how did losing that thing make you feel? And then we'll try and say, like, if we were to apply maybe a little bit more training or a little bit of knowing how and when to. I'll give you an example. So like last year, my daughter was in the zone, I think, for her cross country, and she was trying to gun it home for the last stretch, and the girl, she was coming 6th, top 6 go through, and she looked over her right shoulder and didn't look over her left, and this girl just boom, bolted past her and took her spot in the zone. So that, like, there was a lesson. There's so many lessons in sport in that same regard. Like, you could fail a test, but you get to fail a test at school and get beaten by someone else, but like, I think physically to take the lesson is a better way to do it, because it just burns into your memory. Like, I don't have to go through that regret of not trying hard enough or losing to that degree again. So there was a little lesson there. Like, let's just be aware of what's going on around us, and knowing when and how to apply. So yesterday, I sort of stood at the 600 meter mark of the race and said to her, okay, just as she ran past, I'm like, you got to apply that sprint finish. Remember how you lost last year? And boom, she gunned it. There was no one against her, but it was just, I knew that was a great chance to give her a lesson on how to prepare for the next level,
100%.
So we're arming our kids for life, because it's the cost of everything is going to be hard. So they're going to have to be able to deal with
tough times,
and they're going to have to be resilient too. So I'm always looking for ways to sort of sharpen their senses to that sort of stuff.
They're like, just even something like so small like that, right? But to have the understanding now and the data to go, okay, I don't want her to overtake me again in the next race. So what I'm going to do is make sure this, and that. So when I'm there, I actually don't even have to worry about that, because I'll be so far ahead. And to build that confidence as well, the emotional stability and understanding themselves that, okay, I don't want to be in that position again, so what do I do to be better in the next one?
Yeah.
And I think
massive.
what you're alluding to is like in a world where, you know, you're unsure of things, I'm going to try and arm you with the knowledge so that way you give yourself the best possible chance to succeed.
Yeah, it's everything costs is. What's the cost increase in the last 10 years for you? You would have seen it's
funny, man. Like just in the last, I reckon, month with a lot of the different meetings that I've been having behind the scenes, I've just learnt a lot on many parts from a business perspective, my own training and what I'm focused on more now than ever before, so I can put myself in a better position for my health to stay in shape, because that helps the business, because the better I feel, the more people I can help.
Yep.
But then from a business sense, being with my bookkeeper and my accountant and learning some detailed things that would usually challenge me in the past self. I'd be so busy, I'd go, well, I don't want to focus on this, but it's like, I need to know this, I need to understand it.
Yeah.
And with that information, I could probably help my kids, my wife, to help them understand the information. And, I spent my whole life to find better people in certain areas. I don't have all the answers with every person. But one thing I realised was, the type of things that we're doing here at the retreat, I said, how can we create something that every person that breathes needs? And I think that was a far-fetched sort of dream, probably in sort of 2022 when I started to go to these health optimization summits. But, with Thailand and everything else, it's starting to become a reality. As that becomes a reality, you got to go, how have I set the foundations for business now? Like, what do I understand? Like, yourselves as rugby league players, you got a manager and you go, what do they do for me besides get this contract? They don't teach me these other skills that are necessary for me to invest my money, what's good for my health, what are the pitfalls that could happen around, rugby league. And I was having this conversation, I won't say who it was with, but it was in rugby league. And he said, this gentleman, I said, they're gonna pay you this much. And then he said, is that good? And he looked at it and he said to him, well, where you're at and how you're taking this seriously is exactly what you deserve.
Yeah.
Because that's all you're putting in.
Yeah.
So, do you want more? Well, show up.
Yeah.
I'm going to be here at this time. I want to see what you have, what you got. Because that person, and I'll tell you this later on, but that person's expectation was, give me everything, but I'm not going to put in the effort.
Yeah, that gets
I reckon, throughout my whole life.
Well, those guys get found out too.
Yeah, but even throughout my life, you say I'm busy here, and then I got to learn all this information here. I'd usually go, fuck, man. My bandwidth, we were talking about these puzzles, things coming at you, and you got to figure out how to bring these puzzles together. I'd be like, this is the old me. We're like, I don't want to learn that because, man, I'm way too busy here.
Yeah.
And, but sometimes you got to have tunnel vision in this one thing only.
Yeah.
And now that I don't shy away from that, it benefits me more. And it's like the retreat. Remember when I said to you, let me control all of this, Jake. Can you just do this for me? And before I didn't want to do all that.
Yeah.
And the people paid the price. They didn't pay the price, but the experience was better for the people and myself.
It's about, I think we find importance in information. We don't necessarily hone in on something if we don't value it at the start. But when you want to do something, it ends up leading us back there anyway. I feel, I know certain people.
It always leads you back because you've missed a step.
And that's what I'm alluding to.
Yeah.
You missed a step and you got to go back because you're expecting someone else to fix something where you can give more than 100% than someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And that tends to happen, I think, to all of us because we get tired. It's like training.
Yeah.
The brain just gets tired. It goes, man, how much more can it can it actually conceptualize or take on to do the work?
Sometimes you got to go through that furnace though of like you said, like you a year or two prior to what you're doing now, it may have been too much bandwidth to handle.
2 years ago was too much.
But
You can handle it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You can actually handle it,
Yeah.
but you've almost convinced yourself that I can't do that, man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like the body. It's a physical thing, and you can actually handle it. And what I realised was, when I'm training and eating well, I can actually handle problems better.
Yeah.
Whatever comes my way, I go, well, if I get that right, that'll be handled. That'll be handled. That'll be. And like some days, it's like sports. Like you get off the field, you're banged up, you're smashed up, and you go, let me just get to bed. I'll be back tomorrow morning.
That's right. Sleeping is a big one too.
Just go to sleep.
Well, no, but it's...
But like what I mean is, like, if you go to sleep, you're knocked out.
Yeah.
Go to sleep, you're going to be better again tomorrow.
Well, I read something about your brain repeats the reps at like 5... The reps that you did in the day, your brain repeats those in their mind at like 5 times the speed at which you did it. So more often than not, you've ever had a hard decision to think about too, you sleep on it, you more often not feel 1,000 times better towards whatever decision you needed to make. Your brain can better process it. So
It does.
sleeping on it is highly underrated, I think. So
Yeah.
kids, after a big day of doing stuff, you have to make sure they get a big night's sleep that night. And then if you're stressing over a decision you got to make too, sleeping on is a massive one too. I mean, it's just highly underrated. So
Yeah, and I think one thing we tend to do, and I think I'm a victim of it sometimes because I'm so busy, is like over communicate. Just communicate. Just say, hey, are we on? Is this right? And one thing I done in the retreat, I checked 2-3 times. Are they picking us up at this time?
Yeah,
This is what's happening. And that worked really well because I made sure that was going to happen. And I think it's very important that we over communicate, even to ourselves.
Yeah.
Like even to ourselves, like doing the reps of what's in the mind. You got to turn up to the training session. You got to do the workout. You got to do your cardio. You got to eat your food. You've got to it's like auto suggestion essentially.
Yeah.
What you repeat to yourself continuously is what you'll start to do.
essentially build a better system for
Yeah,
your
100%.
system to operate.
Yeah, 100%. And look, as individuals, we are capable of more. Like, I mean, fucking look at you. Like, you keep pushing different barriers, you know, in terms of like where you want to go and what happens to you. Do you find that at points like, you know, like you go, fuck, I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I know that it's going to be something big. Do you have in your mind, like, and I've done this where I go, fuck, it's that big that it's going to happen, but you're obviously you're not there yet. Do you have that vision and that goal in your mind that you're going to do something that's going to help more people? Because like what I get from you is that, like, it's not about the money. I'm going to do something that's special. That's what I get from you.
Yeah. I find like the less you care about the money, like the more money comes to you. I find with certain things. So you still have to apply,
of course,
a lot of energy into
the
goal and like the big rocks in the bucket that'll make it happen. I guess for me, it's just like I never know what's coming next, but I know something big will come if I just keep applying energy into it. So put in the energy, and then who knows what'll pop up your way. It'll come, like it always comes to everyone who works.
The applications.
So don't ever stop working towards whatever goals you have.
I agree.
So you don't know where your opportunity will come, but just you can kick your own holes in the wall to make your own door for any opportunity if you just keep working day in, day out, mentally.
The harder you work, the luckier you get, right?
Correct. Exactly right.
As you're talking about goals, do you have any specifically, business-wise, professional-wise, with your health, body? Is there any goals that you've set out for yourself in 2025?
Non-specific, but I'm always constantly, my brain's always tinkering towards how can we make the project of my own body better, and what will come off the back of that. I don't have anything specifically.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of injuries that I'm sort of working around, which is that look, I guess the real one I had was a 300 kilo deadlift. That was probably the only real goal that I had, but I've sort of hurt myself a couple of times.
Yeah, okay.
Certain lifts, which is not ideal for that space. So again, that could be a lesson in pivoting towards putting energy into other things. So that's not a bad thing in itself. So
bit of redirection.
It's not a bad thing at all.
Well, I just reflow that
Do you
same
find
energy.
do you find some
into the next
people
thing.
when they're so focused on that they get so down on themselves? Like what you said is like pivot, man. Put the energy somewhere else.
Exactly right. Because like some things like look, my stepdad's quadriplegic, right? He could have dwelled on his position if he wanted to, but no, he still provided for us as kids. Still provides for us now. Still is a great man, great human. Doesn't have to be like, but he is. So it's great that he's always and look, my other side is my dad too. My dad is like he came to Australia 50 odd years ago, probably more, with $60 in his pocket and has done well for himself. So, like, you don't have to dwell on the shit position that you're in. You just pivot and direct energy. Give me something about energy. Energy, like, it's some energy in the universe, like, will guide towards something better, you know? So
100%. And I think, like you said before, you can pivot and put your energy somewhere else. The greater your application, the better your chances.
Well, there's so many avenues too.
Well, you put yourself in a better position, right?
Yeah.
And the better position you're in, you know, the more opportunities that
and if that other thing that you're aiming for resurfaces again, then it was meant to be. And if not, double down on the energy application to something else. So it's,
you know,
there's a million paths that you can make for yourself. And it's not the end of the world if you don't get what you were aiming for at one point, because it's an ever-changing, ever-evolving and moving space. So,
you know, like I've been in the fitness industry forever, and I'll ask both of you this question, right? And I wouldn't know what the fuck to do with myself, to be honest. You know, it'd be hard because it's been a big part of my life. Like, but if you weren't in the fitness industry, what do you think you'd be doing? Like, what would you do? Would it be? I mean, that's too hard for me to imagine. But what would be something that you'd like to work on?
I'm really liking the coaching space at the moment. I'm like, it's hard for me because I got so many kids and the logistics of a weekend is tricky. I can't commit to anyone. So I'm lucky in the position now that I get to float between their their 3 teams that they play in, and teach kids rugby league. But I'm also like just athletic development of kids. Like I want to see kids reach their potential. So if I can have 5 minutes with them and teach them something about a push-up. Like I get kids doing push-ups all the time at training because I know most of the kids in our club need to be physically stronger. So they'll like take the mickey out of themselves for not being able to do push-ups now. And I'm like, but that's not really a good thing. Like at some point you're gonna have to need that strength for something important in life. So I see the opportunity for myself to try and be that person, to encourage them to move down that path and give them the strength that's going to be required at some point. So, I'm really liking the coaching space. I'd love to get more involved in that space, and wouldn't have to be footy specific, but
Would you consider being like an online presence in that space?
I'd love to be. I just think logistically I got to just set up that space.
Yeah,
maybe.
Is it something in your mind?
Yeah, I'd love to do that. The hard thing I know would be in person is tricky to do. There's only so many hours in a day.
Yep.
And in the initial phase, you don't really make that much cash. And look, there is still overheads that have to be paid. I've got a mortgage, like I said, I've got to feed 4 kids. Is not cheap. It's like it's a shitload of money a week to feed our household of growing kids and myself. So I've still got to work to get that. But then direct energy into that space. So I'd love to.
I reckon biggest things I've learnt from you, Mats, and like the people that were around, and you've already got it, and I'll give this to you: leverage, right? A word I didn't really actually understand or know until I come in.
Word,
Leverage, right? Like you are your own business. I feel. You know what I mean? That's why I was sort of implying like the online space. Whatever you would choose to do, either path of coaching, mentoring, health and wellness, whatever it is, I reckon it would take a shorter amount of period for you to kick off than it would for, let's say, other people who don't have that profile. You know, you've got leverage in aspects of being on Ninja Warrior, rugby league, you yourself, you know, the afro, looking the way you look. I reckon it'd be a real positive path for you to go down.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's ultimately where I'd love to go.
Yeah.
It's probably just myself letting myself back in.
I reckon, obviously, like it's going to come.
Yeah.
Like you could see at a point it's going to come, and you said you're 18, so I reckon it's by about your late 30s,
maybe 19. We've got to shorten that window down.
Your late 30s. With social media, do you feel like because I came from before social media, right? So when I'd be in the gym,
So did I.
there's no fucking phone. Well, there you go. I don't know if the guy. I'm guessing he's around your age, or a bit
Yeah,
older.
you're a couple
we're
years
close,
older.
yeah,
Couple of years older, yeah,
couple
yeah.
years older.
True.
So,
True.
you
He's
know,
18 and a half, I'm 18.
You know, I remember when, you know, we were up there with Shane Vincent and he's taking photos of all these people on the Stairmaster with their phones. you know?
Yeah.
And he's going, Mets, what do we do about this pandemic almost? Like everyone's on their phone between sets.
Yep.
Like it's massive up
Yeah.
there. And I remember there was a point where there was no phones and he was just like, mate, he just dialed in.
Just hone in, yep.
How do you feel like...
To
you
their
know-
credit, cardio is pretty boring.
Yep.
So some people need that.
Of course,
I don't know,
cardio 100%.
I'm
I
the kind
agree.
of person I'll go on a run specifically with no headphones because I need to fight
Honestly,
myself.
honestly, you don't have to
I
worry.
remember
Yep.
Goggins
Yeah.
talking about it one day, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to try that. And then
Yeah.
I heard people talking about they can only run with headphones,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no, I like the battle of. I mean,
Being with yourself.
Footy, it's
Yeah,
like
man.
it's
Same thing.
In footy, you're constantly battling head noise. Like
Yeah.
it's the 73rd minute, and your body's annihilated. You got zero reserves of anything left, and you to make the next thing, you need to be fighting it. Your mind's saying no, and your body's like, no, we're getting there.
Yeah.
You shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
and we're
Yeah.
getting
You're playing
there.
footy, you don't have the option of having Metallica in your ear.
No.
It's
No.
about doing the next thing of the job. The only reason I take my phone when I go for a run is so it counts my steps.
Yeah,
That's healthy for me.
That's
I
true.
feel. You know what I mean?
Guns.
So, and when I'm
Yeah.
on
It
the,
does make a difference.
when I'm on the treadmill here, like I don't mind having a look at what I find interesting, and you know, but as long as my I'm walking and I'm constantly moving, sometimes I put it down, have a conversation. Or I can't do weights with my phone. Because
Yeah.
I've tried it before and it fucking takes an hour and a half when I only have to be there for 40 minutes. I don't like being in there as
It's
long
like
as I
when
have
you
to
got your
be.
headphones in and someone's ringing you
Yeah,
and you're listening to music.
Yeah.
It does
the
slow you
most
down.
annoying
100%.
That's
it
why.
does.
That's why. Like, you know, yesterday I was training with Pete and we were going hard. It was
Yeah.
like no rest, bang, bang, bang. It's because it was just us two. There's no phones.
In the
It's
zone.
just like
Right,
you're in
yeah.
the present and you're training. That's why I like the training buddy, and that's why I really enjoyed Thailand because
Present
we
with
had
the
to
crew,
train hard,
yeah.
so we can't have our mobiles.
No
You're
distractions.
not allowed. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference. What's it been like? What's it like for you, and what do you see in gyms in that area?
Look, I enjoy listening to music when I'm lifting heavy
Yeah.
stuff. I
Yeah,
know
okay.
I always had a pre-game playlist which put me in the zone
Yeah.
to perform better for playing sport. Like even Ninja Warrior stuff like that. I'd always have the pre-game playlist because I needed to take my brain to that mental. I need to get away from my normal life, my normal garbage job of just like hey, turn up, get the job done as best I can, and then go to the next thing. But in the gym, I need to prep the space by being ready to go and throw something heavy around that I've never really done before. So I don't mind that in that regard.
Yeah,
My
I'm
biggest
the
view on it,
same
like-
sometimes. Like if I'm on my own, I want to listen to some music it's going to get me pumped for the intensity that I require.
Now, when I was at Roosters, I remember Robbo pulled us up on. He goes, when you have massage and recovery, what I want you to do is, and this is where it was sort of tied all together. Massage and recovery was a space for us to shut the system down and not be stimulated. So, most clubs, it's it's funny to look at them now when they go into the recovery space and watch them. The lower end clubs will all be the guys who are on their phones and they're watching their phones while they're having recovery.
Yep.
Other clubs who are doing well, I'm assuming, well, we won the 2 years that I was, my last year at the club, Robo employed that tactic from day one when I was at the club, so I was 3 years straight of doing that. But when recovering, our connection to that space was no distractions, we're there to recover in that space. And I feel like that, like you were talking about phones in the gym, like what are you using it for in that time
That's
and place?
exactly,
So it's
yeah.
like time and place.
Yes.
Yeah, and like
There's a time and a place for it. I definitely agree with that. Like if you need music to rev you up and you're gonna go to that intensity where you wouldn't otherwise,
if you're gonna get back to
100%. Use it as a tool
Yeah.
rather than a distraction.
yeah.
Now, this podcast, Shootout Titan Fitness, I created this to make my life so easy. But what I done, I said, you know what, let's help other people. Let's get other people on this journey where the lights just come on, the camera crew are here, the producers are here. You don't have to do nothing. I wanted to create this for myself. But you know what we've done? We created this studio for others. Why don't you hear exactly what the others have to say about this studio by coming and getting a free trial? Hit the link in the bio. Come and see these guys. They're absolutely amazing. You have to absolutely do nothing and you get the best podcast in the world. Hit the link in the bio and let's go. Yeah.
Definitely.
But if you can bang out cardio quicker with like something playing, then okay, cool.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because when I do a HIIT class, bro, I need music because I need to get it. I need to zone out from the distraction. Like no one's there except me.
Yep.
Especially when I do any type of HIIT class, like I just want to have my music. Yeah. And it's almost, it feels like a bit selfish, but even when we were in Thailand, at Pirates, I had my headphones on. Yeah. Even though you were there, I was like, man, I need to get in the zone so I can push myself a bit harder.
Whatever makes you perform better.
Yeah.
Man.
Sometimes, like, when you started speaking about a playlist, I had a playlist. I specifically had 20 songs before I played. My goal was when I would put that music on was I'd actually suppress my mind into just full what I had to do on the footy field that time. I'd have 3 things written down attacking wise, 3 things written down defensive wise, and then my 3 things for effort areas. And I just look at them while I had the music on and I just repeat those words. And that would just suppress my mind into what needed to be done for the next 80 minutes or however long I was playing for. And I found that beneficial. When I'm at a gym though, I enjoy training, like I love training, but I don't want to be there any longer than I have to be. And I found that balance by when I did used to have music on and my phone in my hand when I was lifting weights, I'd leave not feeling like I trained hard. You know what I mean? When I don't have my phone, I can go bang, bang, bang. I don't even want to talk to people. If I see someone, I say hello, but
you are very antisocial.
Well,
in a good way.
Yeah, it is because I'm aware of it.
It's
because
so important though,
I need to do what I need to do there. Then outside of that, I'll give anyone my energy that wants to have a conversation outside of that. But that's my time.
At some point of the day, you got to find the time for yourself.
Yep.
And it's important to be able to do that at some point of the day.
Do you? I wouldn't say harass, but do you get people coming up wanting to start conversations with you when you're in your zone trying to train?
Nah, my gym's pretty quiet. They don't train at.
Is that why you go there?
Cool. No. I'm just a sponsored athlete at the gym there, and it's convenient. It's on the way home from work for me.
Yeah, cool.
But no, our gym's really good. It's a mainly predominantly powerlifting gym. Good crew in there, and we just everyone gets in and rips in and. Yeah, just trains.
They got mad speakers in there?
The only, one lady asked me later, she's like, what the hell are you training for? Because my training is not conventional style of training. I follow a couple of stone lifters online, like Tom Haviland, just dudes who are lifting ridiculous amount of weight. Eddie Joe Williams, one of my bros, he's a strong man. He just finished up 3rd in World's Strongest Man. Big, strong human, but the stuff that, we do non-conventional stuff, but it's like I said, I just want to keep my GPP as high as I can and stuff that I want to be able to try and lift things. So.
What draws you to the unconventional stuff? Because you look at you and you're like, he must just train specifically for certain things. What's the unconventional side? What's your draw?
I don't know. I think I saw someone. Oh, there was a guy named Bud Jeffries. Yeah, he was lifting stones, and
I've seen that video of yours in Fiji.
Yeah, I've had a couple. I had one good one that sort of, went a little bit viral. Yeah. And then I had the last time when I was over in Fiji for a wedding in August last year, and I tried to lift up. They got these really nice. So the stones in Sydney, they're all sandstones. So when you lift them, I go down Clovelly and try and pick them up. But when you get them up high, the skin up there is just soft and it just tears like paper. It just rips the shit out.
You almost fell over, didn't you?
I did fall. Yeah, I almost crushed myself under a big one in Fiji. The draw to the stones and the odd lifts is it's just it's a logic thing. And eventually logic would dictate to you what you can and can't do at some point, right? So it's like, can I I look at something heavy and I'm like, oh, actually it was Tom Haviland. I think it was Tom Haviland said it one day. He's like, have you ever looked at something and just said to yourself, I want to lift that? Which is, you get that in your head as a 3-year-old. Like, you see someone lifting something and you're like, oh, I'll go try and lift it up. You see 3-year-olds react the exact same way. So that innate thing is still in my mind. I see a big stone, I think, well, 1, could I lift it? And 2, is it, 1, is it possible? And 2, could I do it? Yeah, it's a technique and it's a logic thing. Like either you can or you can't, and if you can't, well then let's figure out a way to do it. And then I find that can apply to anything in life. Like I'm sure people sort of said it was tricky to make $1 billion, but they figured out a way to do it. So Elon Musk on the way to making $1 trillion now. So it's like whatever you think's impossible. Like there's a way to do it. You just got to find out a way to make it happen. So that's what the draw to it was. And then how many people lift big as hell. Like I guess the sandbag training is like the gym version of it, but there's something raw and primal about hoisting a stone up over your shoulder and just holding it there on your shoulder.
When you seen the stone lift, did you go online and look for information how to, like,
No,
technique-wise, what you had to
just
do?
my phone, listening to every word that I was saying, as they do nowadays.
Yeah.
And maybe Bud Jeffries was suggested to me, but Bud passed away like 2 years ago. But some of the stuff that he was doing, like he would pick up stones, hoik them to shoulder, and they'd be like 150 plus kilos, or if not heavier. But then at the same time, he'd do like some sort of a skill. So he had like he'd put all these balloons on like a plank of wood, and then he'd have a throwing knife, and then like throw the knife whilst holding the stone to shoulder. So I was like, sometimes you get a lesson, and it's like, man, whatever you're doing, you're not doing it well enough because someone can outskill you and something. It's just cool to get, again, perspective and scope on where you're at compared to someone else. So
I like it.
I guess that's what the draw to him was. And then I see people lifting bigger and heavy stuff at the moment, and I'm like, cool, how do I get to that level?
Yeah.
It's always, like I said, the brain's a giant puzzle connected, or you don't know where the pieces and parts will connect, but somehow we'll find a way to make it all come together. So,
one thing, like for me, owning a gym here in Coogee, there's, I know what I want to put on social media, and I know what I don't want to have on there.
Yeah.
Do you have, rules and guidelines that you go by of what you put out on there, and what, obviously, you won't? I mean, I just kind of know what it is, and I've got principles and values, and I stick to those.
Yeah.
What is it that you work off when you're putting
look,
posts?
I guess it's a bit different for yours, because yours is like your brand is like there is like a solid place, whereas my brand is a little bit more open, and mine is my scope is a little bit broader. Like I can put stuff out there just as a joke.
Yeah.
I put a video of my wife and I travelled to Pecolin for Christmas, and we were stopping. Like, our kids love animals, like as kids do, and we found this horse, and like you probably wouldn't be able to put it on your page because of this horse, and he's like his old fellow was hanging out. Like, I can do that. Like they got like 1.5 million views or something like that. One of my boys, like, with the whole socials thing too. One of my boys showed me his video had 20 million likes on it and had like 750 billion views. I think it was the most viewed thing, and it was him on his socials. Him trying to do a front flip across this like body of water and land it, but he slipped and like dislocated his shoulder.
Wow.
And he met like Dom. Dom Tomato is his name. Like, check his stuff out. It's really, because Red Bull athlete is a freak at what he does. Anyway, he had but like that was a fail. Like, sometimes we think that, I can't share the fails, but sometimes the fails are the things that he said from that one post alone, he got 1 million followers.
Wow.
Which is crazy. Like, and then that just gives so many more people into the inside of the stuff that he can actually do and what he's actually capable of. Because some of the things he just jumped off of like a 14.5 meter crane onto this hay bale, exactly like the Assassin's Creed, the PlayStation game.
Do you reckon
he
people
gets paid to do that? That's his life. Like,
man.
People are captivated by seeing people get fucked up a little bit, because I know I watch reels and I'll see people on the bikes that run into the trees or jumping off rocks not properly. And
we watch it.
Yeah, I sit there going, what the fuck? No wonder he got so many views.
But almost had like. I looked up on Google the other day what's the video with the most views, and they said some Indian guy with like 500 million views or something like that. But I know Dom showed me the metrics on his actual on his page, and like he says, look, it's had 750 billion views. I think he said the watch time on was like 200 years or something like that.
Shit.
Wow. But it was a fail.
What a joke. Yeah, massive.
Sometimes you've got to share the look, it also shows people process, right? Like, most people use it as a highlights reel, but that's not where the juice is, Like, it's like maybe the last time the wall got washed in, was it from you flooded down here, right?
I should have fucking filmed
that.
Well,
look, you weren't to know at the time. Like I said
Mate,
before,
I remember.
You don't know what you don't know. Like, as a parent, like,
you know that day when it flooded?
Yeah.
I'm in the gym at 5 a.m. It's like it's a Saturday. And bro, I'm looking at it and I'm going, how am I going to stop this when I'm by myself?
What was it from? Was it from the surf?
The rain, man.
The rain.
No, the whole street flooded.
Well, I only asked because I saw Bondi washed the...
So listen to this. I'm on the Stairmaster.
Yeah.
I'm actually on the Stairmaster. No one's in the gym, bro.
Watching the rain.
I'm watching this rain and I'm watching the street. Fuck. But then I'm watching the street and I go, fuck, my car's going to get flooded. So I take my car out. By the time I get back, I can see the water gushing. And I'm looking at it.
Get the sandbags.
There's no sandbags, bro. There was nothing that's going to stop this. And it came all the way. It
Wheelbarrow
didn't hit
and
this
shovels
room,
on
but
the
it came
beach.
all the way back, bro. And you know what's funny, Jake? It was 2 days before I was going to Germany.
Oh, pressure.
So
The amount of pressure.
So what happened? It's a funny story. Like, you know, I know that's what we should
Have you got any footage of it from the cameras?
Actually, I do, bro. It's on my phone.
Post it up.
You know
This is
what
what
I'm
happened
doing?
when my gym flooded.
Well,
and
it's
this is
12
what-
months, bro.
Yeah, but
It's an anniversary.
No,
They should.
if it doesn't matter, yeah.
that's
but
what
then
I'm
you show
saying.
and here's the space now. There you go.
And you know what was
That could
funny?
go.
I'll tell you something. Like, and
And if it doesn't go, who
you know what was
cares?
funny? Like, well, it's not fun, well, bro. It wasn't funny when I was looking at this.
Oh, I can imagine
I'm
the bill
thinking,
would have cost you
I'm
a shitload.
thinking, no, it wasn't that bad.
But who cares? Look at the space now.
It's much better. But I'll never forget because Tyron, because it was raining that hard and they're coming to the gym. He goes, mate, can I bring my crew to the gym? I go, your crew to the gym? Bro, the gym's flooded.
Yeah. Fuck.
I go, the street's flooded. How are you going to get in the gym?
Swim.
And I say, he's calm.
Hybrid-
and there was a guy,
Hybrid
Boz.
training.
Boz helped me heaps, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'll never forget. He goes, Mets, you need this equipment to get this out.
Yeah.
And I go, fuck, Boz, let's go. And I went
Pump?
straight to Kennards. No, it wasn't. No, the pump couldn't have got it out because the guys came with the pump. But it was this vacuum to get the water
wet
out.
vac.
And it literally took me 2 days. I had a couple of helpers, but I was
18
here to
dehumidifiers in there or what? Suck all
everything,
the
man. And I was
moisture out?
lucky, like Wade
Too
came
much
in.
concrete damage?
No. What happened, and it wasn't long ago. So they took about 8 months to replace the floor. You know what I mean? So,
Right,
but then
shit.
they lifted it up, and it took about 2 to 3 days
Yeah.
for the dehumidifiers to get rid of it.
Yeah.
But you know that probably would have. I'll put it up. You know what? I'll give it to Kenny to.
Yeah. Make it
And I'll
up.
do a voiceover over it. But
Hmm.
I never forget that. Look, there's been many moments like that here where it happened. But that one there, I've seen a couple of floods on this street in this building. But that one was
Was
that was
the
number
big
one.
mama
That
one,
was the
yeah,
number
yeah.
one. Yeah, that was by far number one. And I'm looking at my car, but I'm forgetting that the gym's about to get flooded. I go,
You know
move
what
my
would have been
car,
funny, eh?
Yeah.
move the car, but the gym's
How
gone.
much water came in? Could you have swam in that water? That would have been
No,
fun.
no,
That would have been fun
the
video.
street you can.
Yeah.
The street you could have. Bro.
Ankle
There you go.
deep?
Next time
Yeah.
it floods, get the
Bro,
boogie boards
what do you
out.
mean?
Knee
Up
deep?
here, bro. But in here, it was like
Little
probably
bit
about
less.
that much.
You know,
Yeah.
it'd be pretty cool.
But
get a
all the way
skimboard.
to the massage room, all the way in, bro, all the way in.
I haven't seen it. You have to show me the footage. I
Bro,
haven't
I
seen
will,
it.
bro. It was
Yeah,
like
next time it floods, you got to get the skim boards out because that'd be pretty cool. We
Yeah.
now have a skimboard gym or a surfing gym or something.
mate, it was.
Point of
Hey,
difference.
yeah, people watch that. My gym got shut on.
Sometimes
But
you forget the pain, but yeah, but man, that fuck, you know, over an hour just went by just there, bro.
Yeah.
again, sorry,
Yeah,
I've
no, what do you mean?
chewed your ears
No,
off for
it was
it.
good, man.
Right.
But
What are we at?
this is the like but I can't wait to, because you know what I can see in you is like there's big things in your life that are going to happen, and I'm looking forward to like at the end of the year where we can get you back on again, and then we all talk about what did we achieve in the last year.
Yeah.
From the
2025.
goals, from the training, from the focus.
Yeah, perfect. That'd be
And this whole thing and everything that we're doing at Thailand Fitness, that's why it's great having you on, Lonnie, because the whole thing's about inspiring people, showing people that the harder you work, the luckier you get. And if you continue to put in the work, especially on the days when you're not feeling the best. And the perfect example is just recently where, you know, going into Thailand, I had way too much on. I wasn't feeling the best. And then with all that pressure, it actually made me feel better because it gave me the foundations of what I want to do for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't have to feel
Great
your
way to take
best
a
as
lesson.
long as you put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
Something happens that's going to move you closer towards where you're trying to get to.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Never know where lessons come from. Hey, they just
you don't know. Like I mean, like you know, like I was like, fuck, I learned a lot from this retreat for myself.
Yeah.
Like I probably learned more about. Geez, I'm actually capable of more.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
big
and probably like in the last 4 or 5 months, I'm sure you'll look back at your life and you're going, wow, I'm capable of a lot more.
You're not dead yet, right? So if it hasn't killed you yet, then there's
I always
another
talk
way
about
forward.
that.
Yeah.
I always talk about that.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
you
keep
need those
going till
big things, those big tasks to be like, you know, actually, what can I actually handle here? What can I actually output?
you can actually handle a lot more.
A shitload
You know
more.
what I
Yeah.
mean?
So
Yeah,
whenever
yeah.
there's a big task, don't fret it. Just go, all right.
Yeah.
So
Take
run
it
into
on.
the fire, get burned, whatever.
Yeah, man.
And then if you survive,
Literally.
you survive, and if you die, you die.
Yeah.
Life goes on.
You know, if you get flooded, you get flooded.
Look at it now.
Burn,
New.
flood, it's the whole thing, you know, and it's part of the the whole growth cycle, and we have much more in us than we think we're capable
Big
of.
time.
You know? What do you think, Jake?
Well, this is the purpose. I know we're harping on it, but you got a whole new downstairs now, and everybody loves it. You
Loves
know,
it,
and in life, like
Sometimes
when
it
you
takes a
feel
flood to-
when you feel you're at breaking point, it's actually the start of something new.
It is, man.
You know, like
Like you're at the point of you're about to quit,
Yep.
but if you don't, there's a surprise on the other side.
It's like, you know, as you said before, you get to the end of your day, even though it might not be the way that you wanted it to go. You have a sleep and you wake up the next day. You may get a phone call from someone.
Correct.
You know, something else happens
Yeah,
that
man.
day, and you're like, you know what? I'm glad I went through that yesterday, the day before last week, because it led me to here. And then you just keep going.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a bit cliche, and it, you know, used as a metaphor, but as long as you get up and have a crack,
Yeah.
anything can happen.
Yeah, man.
Literally.
And then sometimes that might just mean like, let's just say you're stuck in a rut for 6 months, a year, 6 years, 10 years. Like, maybe you have to reassess and say, all right, what can I add for 10 minutes a day? Rather, like, I threw in some juggling at some point, and now skillfully that added to almost like with footy stuff, it helped. But then even juggling, like, you can juggle more tasks. Like, you're better at, like, essentially no one can multitask, but I feel like if you throw in even something like I spent 10 minutes a day for, I think it was 30 days. I'm just trying to get at the point of maybe you got to change something if you're stuck in a rut. Just change something small. How can I better upskill myself? And I even go watch something on YouTube. There's enough AI in the world now to like upskill yourself enough to just like turn the scales in your favor a bit, you know, like to get yourself out of a rut and move on to, you know, you can open a door for yourself by applying something new in your regime. And yeah, like you said, go to sleep that day. It was all shit. The last thing was shit, but tomorrow may be the day that the opportunity comes.
100%.
100%. Thanks, Lonnie. Appreciate it, bro. There's a lot of great lessons and nuggets there for a lot of people to take away.
Thanks for having me again, and looking forward to
And
the
I can't
next.
wait for the great stories of Lonnie to evolve. Huh?
Yeah.
It's like a little book.
Let's do it.
Yeah, awesome, bro. Thank you.
Let's
Thanks for
attack.
having me on.
Thanks.